Danger, danger, danger. Hello, Ben here from Supercoach Insider. What a horrible first round of footy. I'm going to give you my thoughts a little bit and explain why it's important to be really flexible. So the reason I wanted to do this little special kind of podcast or video blog, whatever it is, up on the YouTube is because you do need to be flexible and to give you some options. So last night, just before the bounce, I was kind of looking up and toying with my team. As you would have known, I was definitely set on getting English, regardless of the cost. But I started to have a look. I'm like, okay, well, I had 18 players on field. So if English was the 19th, I was expecting maybe a McComb or Stevens, if they bang out a 60, then maybe I'm only about 60 points better off. And then if I cop a donut next week, then I could be 60 points worse off if that person scores a 120. So this is where it all comes about mathematics and just trying to play the statistics. So for me, last night, just before the bounce, I got rid of English because that way I could have an extra premium on field next week. I was hoping my rookies would do the job this week. But as we know, that all kind of fell short. We had Stevens get a 33. Swizz absolutely screwed me and got in Stewart and broke him. So give Swizz a lot of heckle and a lot of grief on Twitter. So he broke him, and Stewart, so the good thing is Stewart obviously got knocked out on a 39. I think he was on about 5 minutes into the second, and it was all downhill from there. So good news is they have the bye next week, so he'll be back the week after. Those who didn't have Stewart were being extremely gifted. K on the D, as we like to say. So Chris is extremely happy. However, the also news out of last night is Bailey Smith doing a little bit of the old headbutt, getting into the Irishman's face. So it's going to be interesting there. I think Bailey Smith probably gets rubbed out for at least a week. I don't think there was a whole bunch in it, but when it comes down to how the game looks and pushing your head towards someone and actually making contact, the fact that he had a red mark on his head, I think it has to be at least a week. Some will say 2, etc., but I think Tui was kind of just as much involved. It wouldn't surprise me if he got fined or suspended as well, but we'll see how that comes out in the wash. So if you have Smith, it's going to be very interesting because if he's suspended, you might actually have to get rid of him next week. They have the bye, and then if he's rubbed out for the one after that, you're pretty much covering through 2 rounds of the byes. So I think you might actually have to move him on if you have him, if you're going for overall, that is. So this is where the strategy comes in for overall. If you're playing for leagues, it doesn't matter. You can stack one bye, and that's fine. Now, this is the issue that I have. So I got lucky. I brought in Parrish instead because I was like, well, I had 18, so I'm like, if I sort of front load a little bit, I'll have an extra premium next week and the week after, and then it kind of makes up for the fact because I know next week I'm going to be short. So I think I worked out if I brought English in, then I was probably going to have 15 premiums, including rookies, assuming that some of these rookies would get named, like Owens, who I did bring in. So that would mean if I go, I was going to try and go 2 down, 2 up and maybe have a full squad, but that depends on obviously rookies being named next week and seeing how I go. So I thought, well, if I bring in like a Parrish, then that way I could free that up. Now, this is where you have to be flexible. So if you have 18 on field and you have been screwed this week with, Cooper Stevens getting a 33, with Tom Stewart getting a 39, with McComb getting a 43, I only have 18. So if I can get at least 1 or 2 more on field, then I'm pretty much looking to try and bank any positive points on top of that. So the thing for me is the 33 particularly and the 39 would be ideal. And this is where things start to change. So at the moment, I can't really fit in a midfielder because I've already playing 8 in that midfield, which means it's only forward or defense. I'm not bringing someone with a bye next week, so it would only be the round 14 bye for me. Now, that leaves one problem. There's no good forward premiums with the last bye. To go eat, especially when I'm going to be trying to bring in Bontempelli, who apparently is carrying a shoulder issue or an AC issue. Thanks for telling us, Western Bulldogs, before a whole bunch of people brought him in. Typical, standard, GWS, Bulldogs, everyone carries injuries. So that's why he's been playing forward, the old Bont. So now I'm going to have to wait and see whether I bring him in. But even with one limping shoulder, he's still banging out hundreds, so you can't really complain there. There's no one there. I'm not bringing in Degoe. I've already got a few questionables with, Cornelio and Butters. I don't really see the point in moving them on because I actually need them next week as well. It is a consideration. So here's what I'm looking at. Now, if I was looking for a midfielder, right? If I'm looking for a midfielder, I'd be looking to bring in. There's a couple of options. So what I was thinking is if going Parish this week, next week I was going to try and bring in like a Sinclair or someone or other. So go premium mid, discounted sort of premium defender. Whereas I might have to flip that now because I might have to go the other way and go premium defender to try and maximize an extra 80 points or whatever I can get this week and go a discounted midfielder next week. So what I was thinking was going Parish or Walsh next week, right? That's what I was toying up, and then going a Sinclair. Now I might have to flip it, and unfortunately there's only two defenders. One's Ryan, who I can't trust going 90-odd. Yes, he had a good game. He might make me a little more cash, and I might have, if I did that option, I might have to accept the fact that, hey, he might make me a little bit of money, but I'll also probably have to flip him in round 13. For a Dawson or something. So that's kind of burning two trades. The other consideration is I might have to get Sick Dog. So I had the money there, and I hate paying. I've been banging on for weeks. I hate paying for Sicily, but that gives me the body this week. It gives me the body next week. Whatever he scores over a 33, I bank. So if he goes me a 110, let's say, I'll pick up, 80-odd points, and that's cash. I can use that to improve my rank. If you've got 20 players, good on you, because you probably have to discard a couple of those players this week, which is also valuable. But I'm talking about those who have 18 or 19 sort of players and that sort of more aggressive strategy, which is pretty much what I'm looking at. So now, if you have room in that midfield and you have the same conundrum, I quite like, I don't mind Brayshaw because, I think he's priced pretty good, about 530 odd. Let's have a look here. So I don't mind Brayshaw. So if we kind of go by filter, let's go by highest price. So coming down here, Brayshaw is still averaging pretty good. Where are all these players? So Brayshaw here. So he's still averaging about 500, averaging about 112. Now I know his 3 and 5 round averages haven't been great because he's pretty much bottomed out with a few poor scores. A 94, a 94, and 100. So that's not ideal, including the 77. Not really for me. So what I would be looking at, especially with Fife coming in, Fife could help him and free him up and get less attention, or he could continue that poor form and get even less sort of possessions and the rest of it. So the other one I am looking at is I'm actually looking at Titch. So now I know this is a bit of a questionable play. So we have a look at a couple of weeks ago he had that flu. Was really bad. So I had that absolute stinker of a round. When he had that 78, apparently he was pretty sick for that week, and then he was even worse the week after, I think. So he was carrying that flu, bounced back with a 129 against Brisbane. Didn't go great against Gold Coast. The whole team played poorly. They just didn't show up, so that's kind of not too surprising there. But the reason I don't mind Titch, now, number one, his price is stupidly good, right? It's 480,000. He's down 157,000. So for someone like this, with that risk reward, it could definitely pay off. And the reason is Hawks draw, which also ties into Sicily, is stupidly good coming home. Right? They've had quite a few tough games. They started off pretty well. They won some games, and it started to get a little bit tough for them. Right? So Collingwood, Fremantle. So obviously Fremantle and the Bulldogs will be challenging for Hawks, but they, nothing that they probably couldn't win if they showed up. Collingwood, they're definitely in the mix here. I know they're $2.50 underdogs, but I don't see it. I actually think Hawks will bounce back really well. But outside of that, round 16 onwards, GWS, right? I think Hawks, and especially how Neil tore up their midfield last week. Adelaide, West Coast, North. Saints, he did well against earlier in the year. I think against the Saints, he got a 119. Then you're playing Gold Coast, Richmond Dogs again. So I see his draw quite favourably. I can see it. It's not unrealistic to say he'll go 110 to 115 on the back end of the year. And at his price, I think that's extremely good value, more so than Luke Ryan, more so than these other players, where I'm really tempted to look at him as an option and get that body on field this week. Now, again, the issue I have, right, is when we sort of have a look at my team, I don't have that flexibility because I've got Stevens, Clark, Miller, McRae, Petrarca, all these players on field. So I don't have any room in that midfield this week, which kind of sucks. I probably should have put the emergency on Stevens, but, I thought I was just playing 18 stacked. So that's pretty much where I'm at. But if you can have room in that midfield, I think Tom Mitchell is the shake that you probably is worth going for. Not to mention, anything he gets over 33, you're going to bank this week. He's also going to play next week, which is when everything is really tight and hard to come by, like for points next week. So he'll play that week as well. And I think it's a good option. So for me, all right, I'm going to have to sort of flip it and make my decision next week, I guess, as far as my discounted midfielder. I am still tempted in Parrish and those kind of guys. I did toy out with the notion of obviously Petraka, but I think I need him obviously this week. I need him for future weeks as well, so I think I'll keep it there. The other consideration I had was trying to even move somebody on and get in Titch, but again, with the 8 on field, it's just not really possible for me. So here's what I'm thinking, and this is, again, back to that premise of instead of getting a premium midfielder this week, I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to spend the money in defense. I'm then going to go for a discounted option like probably Merritt, who I think Merritt has he's notorious for coming home extremely strong. So when we sort of have a look, I know he hasn't been that great this year. I know Essendon hasn't been that great, but surely they can't get worse. Maybe they could. But when we look at 2021, all right, look how he finished home strong. So when you talk about, so you had the bye, 147, 107, 143, 114, 71, 168, 123, 107, 120. He did that, I think, even the year before, 2020, finished home extremely strong. Here you go again, 120. So from, I think they had their bye, they didn't have a bye? They had it earlier that year. So from round 11 even, or round 10, so 119, 137, 97, 143, 145, 125, 122, 108, 109. He finishes strong, and it's been like that for the last few years where I think even Corey from SC Elites is like every year he's jumping on Merit, and he's 520,000, which means he's dropped 100,000. I still think for his price, he's probably going to go 110 more than, say, a Sinclair. So this is where the tossing up sort of comes in, because I think Merritt can get within 10 points of a Walsh and within 10 points of a Parrish, right, for the back end of the year. Now, can, say, Sinclair go within 10 points of Sicily, right? So if Sinclair maybe bangs out 100 or 105, well, can Sicily go, and that's where that sort of balances out. So I think Sicily can still go 110. I think Merritt can go 115. And Merritt might lose 5 points there, but then Sicily probably picks up 5 to 10 points. So it probably does leave me better off. And they're the compromises you need to make. So that's what I'm looking at. So when we have a look at my side, and this is definitely not something I thought was going to happen yesterday. I still can't believe it's happening, to be honest. I don't want to pay that money. But it also helps negate the advantage that other teams are going to have around me, because everyone seems to have Sicily. If there was a way around it, I probably would. And but this is what I am thinking as of right now, ladies and gentlemen, when the games are playing very shortly. So I'm going to have to get rid of him there. Let's throw Hobbs into that midfield. I'm going to put McCartan into... It also helps next week, freeing up that sort of option. And defender in James Sicily. So this is, I've still got 31,000 in the bank. Make sure when you do make your trades that you have a look, because I think last time I had McCartan going on straight onto my bench, which is fine. He's on field. And everything looks right in the world again. So now instead of taking a 33, I will be playing Sicily. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it goes 120 and I bank myself an extra 87 points. That's what I'm hoping. So let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what strategies you are considering. Let me know if I should maybe even use the extra trade, because at the moment I'm only using 2 trades. So I am slightly tempted to kind of move somebody else on this week if I can come up with a better option. That's it from me. Let me know what you're thinking, and hopefully the rest of your round is better than what we have just produced. Let me know what you think. Let me know how many weeks you think Bailey Smith will get suspended. Let me know how great or stupid I am for getting Sicily, because I still can't believe it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.